artist to display anywhere between 6 and 10 pieces, depending on size, in the office at City Hall that's reserved for the mayor when he's there having meetings and such. And then once we select that, or actually we handle the submissions and it's the city staff who selects the artist, we have a photo op with the mayor. So it's a pretty cool program, and I recommend everybody to, yes, I mentioned it while you were somewhere else. Thank you. Same date, April 18th, is our next monthly meeting. We'll be back at the Gallery 8680. Our guest speaker will be Chris Miller, author of Spiritual Artist. He said that he spoke with several groups in this area, several art groups about that. So we'll look forward to his talk. We will actually publicly, officially announce it in the next couple of days through our social media. And then we have a couple of things coming up. So I will invite a representative from our events team to come up and tell you more about it. Oh, you need this? I thought you knew what you were going to say.
I do.
Okay.
I want to make sure I get them in order.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So a really unique opportunity popped up thanks to Tammy Miner-Shagan. She has invited us to have a booth at Uncorked Frisco, which is a wine tasting event, April the 30th. What we are looking for are volunteers. She said we need 10, but Holly, who is our director of events and couldn't be here tonight, she's already looked up the site and they may not have that many spots available, but that's okay, the more the merrier. We're saying we need 16 volunteers because we're gonna need 4 to 6 to cover our booth from noon until 7, which technically is 11 to 8 because we need the hour to set up, an hour to tear down. Don't have to be there all day, but we're gonna be looking for 4-hour increments. If you volunteer, you get a piece of art or 2. Once we get all our volunteers, we know the sizes and everything, we may be able to do 2 per artist. You can sell your art there. There's no submission fee, and we will cut the VAGF commission in half. So if you sell something, 15% would go to VAGF. Otherwise, it's just your time spent there. They will tell you where they need you the day of, April 30th. We'll find out well beforehand, but you'll either be at the registration, or you may be at the grape stomping, or you may be at a wine pouring. But if you would like to display your art at no cost, if it doesn't sell, again, no cost, but if it does, then we're asking that VAGF get a piece since we're gonna be promoting it and working it.
Do you have to be a volunteer to have a piece of
Have to be a
art?
volunteer to have a piece of art. And we'll get more information out along with the link. The instructions on the link will come in an email. And basically when you do sign up, it'll say, write a note in there that you're VAGF, because they want to count our volunteers to give us the space.
And where is this gonna be again?
It's gonna be at Frisco Square.
Frisco?
Square. It's an outdoor
Oh,
event,
Square. Oh,
Frisco
okay.
Square. So we'll have a tent, our VAGF tent, we'll have a table, we'll have the art walls all around the table, and we'll display your art. One piece to start until we figure out how many volunteers, and then we can possibly do 2. So front and back of these walls plus another set that we have, I think we decided was about 25 to 8 pieces depending on the size. So if we have 10 volunteers, 2 pieces each, 20 pieces, that would work. Several of us are not artists on the board that are volunteering, and if you want a family member to volunteer, that's fine, then you can, have them volunteer in your place and you can, play around the area. Okay. Next is something very unique. We're trying to break out of tradition, so to speak. We obviously are gonna have our monthly meetings. We're gonna have our art in the mayor's office. We're gonna have our Sweetwater's is brand new opportunity for artists at VAGF, but we're also gonna do a pop-up art event at a distillery in Dallas, just north of the Gallery and Design District of Dallas. It's in conjunction with the Blue Dragon Gallery. If y'all have not met Logan at one of our receptions, he is the gallery owner and he represents several artists. There are 6 to 8 that'll be represented from his gallery, and we want as many artists that want to volunteer to spend their time in Dallas with their art. Again, right now it's 1 piece, but we might be able to do 2 pieces. And there'll be no cost for you to submit. Again, we'll cut the commission for VAGF in half. If you sell something, 15% commission. We'll market it. We'll just need your help in setting up, being there to describe and explain your art, and then tearing it down. We're gonna provide the wine, the food, everything for VAGF artists. So just volunteer and you get the space for free.
Where is it?
It's gonna be at a distillery in Dallas.
And what was the
And-
date?
That's gonna be Sunday, May 22nd. It is not a holiday weekend. Sunday, May
It's a
22nd.
week before Memorial Day week.
So we're hoping we can have both of those opportunities. There are more opportunities to come, but we wanted to really highlight those, and I'm gonna let you do the rest of your.
Okay, awesome.
So if you have any questions, myself or Holly.
Jennifer Looney, everybody.
May 21st, 22nd, May 22nd.
Also my wife, so, you know.
Oh, it's from 1 to 5.
1 to 5 for the distillery pop-up thing, okay. Okay, cool, and then last thing, our next big show at Frisco Discovery Center is Artrageous. I don't have the submission deadline yet. It's gonna be sometime early May, most likely. Reception is gonna be June 12th. June 12th. And so the last Sunday in May is gonna be load-in. That's like 27th, 29th, right, 29th.
Which is Memorial Day weekend.
Which is Memorial Day weekend. If you have any issues with that, talk to me and I'll make arrangements.
Discovery Center has nothing to do with you.
No, it does, it does. And the loadout will be the last Sunday in June, 28th or
We'll
something.
have that well.
Yeah, we'll have those dates, but reception, June 12th. Okay, all right, so everybody voted for your favorite piece of art?
Yes.
Okay, do we want to do it right now or?
At the end,
At the end, okay.
because I gotta count them.
All right, so let's finally hear what we all came here to hear. A talk by Brad Sharp. Here's a quick excerpt from his long bio, because he's been working to increase opportunities and improve support for Frisco's creative and cultural communities for more than a decade. He's a Texas certified arts advocate, a graduate of the Business Council of the Arts Leadership Arts Institute, and recipient of the NTPA Arts Advocate of the Year Award. He has served as the chair of Frisco's Public Art Board and an advisor to numerous arts and cultural organizations in the areas of strategy, advocacy, and organizational development. He currently serves, I need to take a big breath for this part, as chair of the Frisco Downtown Advisory Board, vice president of the Heritage Association of Frisco, vice chair of the Movie Institute, board liaison to the Cove Gallery for the Arts and Music Guild, and the founding director of Creative Frisco.
Wow.
Brad is the founder of the Rail District Arts and Wine Walk, which will be launching its second season later this year. Please help me welcome Brad Sharp, everybody.
Thank you, Swad. It's always strange to hear all that out loud,
Right.
but I appreciate you reading it. So I want to thank you all for being here. I want to start by thanking Swad and Jennifer for their tremendous and gracious leadership of the Visual Arts Guild. And I want to thank Zara for inviting me to be here tonight. And I want to thank all of you for braving the weather to be here to support the Visual Arts Guild and to see my presentation. I especially want to thank Roger Belleville, because he braved the rain and he showed up wet after going to the wrong place and brought his wonderful piece of art, which I got to see a prototype version of that as it was being built. And he served on the Public Art Board with me.
It was a pleasure serving with Brad as a chair.
And I left because he left, so.
So, Brad, before you start, I'm getting information that somebody did not vote.
There are 12 people here and I have 11.
It was me.
Okay, I need you to vote.
You gotta vote, because apparently we have a tiebreak.
He's voting for number 8.
Okay.
Sorry, Brad, you can,
Oh, no.
you can continue.
So with the weather going on and everything, Swat and I talked earlier about should we cancel this, should we not. So I decided that I would kind of pivot and maybe save my other presentation for another time. and do something different instead. I haven't told SWAT about this yet, so he may be mad about it.
Lots of surprises.
So I thought tonight we could do a detailed history of the 100 Years' War and its results. It's only 78 slides, and I promised SWAT would be finished by 11. So. No, we're actually here for professional resources for creative entrepreneurs. And a lot of this is stuff that I've been involved with over the last 10 years or so that I've been involved in Frisco, and things that I found helpful. And I know as creatives, we often are trying to figure out how can we get more support? How can we learn about how to run our business or how to do better and be more competitive? So I thought I would start with, I picked 10 local resources that we'll go through later. But first, let's talk about what is creativity. Who can give me a definition of creativity? Come on, you're creative. Somebody has a definition of creativity.
Imagination.
Okay.
Oh, that's good.
Anything else?
Art.
Art? One more.
Make something.
Problem solving.
Problem solving. That's very good, because my favorite definition of creativity is the application of one's knowledge and skills to a task to generate an outcome. Nowhere in there does it say art. But the point is, people often say, well, I'm not creative. When really what I think they mean is I don't have a vivid imagination, right? They are creative. I mean, you think about it simply, cooking dinner is creative. I'm hungry, I have these things, I'll make dinner, and there it is, and I eat it. That's a creative process. You have to think about what you're gonna do to make this product. And then let's talk about what is an entrepreneur? Anybody? Bueller?
Business owner.
Okay. I'm gonna call on you.
A crazy person.
Crazy person. So this is a very basic, simple definition, but an entrepreneur, an individual who creates a new business, bearing most of the risks and getting most of the rewards, right? But when we talk about creative entrepreneurship, it's a little bit different because we're talking about the creative economy. And when we talk about the creative economy, we're talking about a subset of all the creative possibilities. So according to John Hawkins, the creative economy comprises those things you see there: advertising, music, art is one of them, performing arts, video games, radio, TV. So
There's a lot of those people around Frisco, by the way, which
Right,
is
right.
really cool.
But what I like about this is art is just one of the things in there. So as a creative, there's art here, but you don't try not to think of yourself as I'm just an artist. I'm a creative. And think about the other things you could do with that creativity. The Business Council for the Arts helps spearhead the local gathering of information for the Americans for the Arts. This is from the AEP, American Arts and Prosperity Report 5, which was released in 2017. That's strictly talking about arts organizations. This is not the entire creative economy, but arts organizations in the Dallas Metroplex generate $1.5 billion worth of economic impact every year.
That's huge.
It is.
That's huge.
It is. But that's not all of the creative economy. That's just one component. It's much larger than that when you think about it. The AEP 6 study is kicking off now. In fact, there's a kickoff event on Friday with the Business Council for the Arts for that study. It's a nationwide study, so it'll aggregate all the information from across all the participating communities in the U.S. Frisco did not participate in the AEP 5 study. I expect they're going to participate in this AEP 6 study. Since that study is done, Frisco has added a manager of arts, culture, and special events. So we have a point person now that can lead that. In fact, we have a brand new person in that position that just started about a week ago. And she seems very gung-ho about building out our arts community in Frisco.
Are you talking about Michelle?
Michelle.
Okay, she's meeting with the board members in a couple of weeks
Okay.
for lunch.
Yeah, we have a meeting in the morning. It's
Okay.
my first time. Actually, I met her at the reception.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
She won one of the flower raffles.
Yeah, there you go.
Michelle.
Mhm.
But I have a lot of hopes that she is going to help us take it to the next level in Frisco.
Mhm.
Just from what I know about her and seeing her post on Facebook, she's very active and creative. And
So, I'm sorry, can I interrupt?
yeah, this is a conversation.
Okay, so how is her role different from, say, Stephen Ross or
So do you remember?
Shed? Or
Now, do you remember, what was his name? The first director?
It was before my time, I think.
Okay, so it was most recently John Chalfant.
Oh, yes, okay.
So it was Brett Gaither. You remember Brett Gaither?
Ah, yes, I do.
So Brett Gaither was the first director of arts, culture, and special events. He was hired in about 2018, 19. So he lasted about a year, and then John Chalfant took that position. He was the director of the athletic center. He's now been promoted to a new position they created, which is a second assistant director of parks. So now they opened the position and hired Michelle Norris, who's the new director of arts, culture, and special events, and Steven reports to her.
Okay.
So he's in charge of the Discovery Center, the Heritage Museum, all of our cultural assets report to him. I'll report to her now.
Mhm.
So how do we tap into that 1.5 billion plus economic economy? So that's what I was going to talk about tonight. 10 local resources that you have right here in Frisco or Plano or Dallas that are local that a lot of you probably don't know about, or you know about and don't pay attention to because they've always been there, right? So the first thing I want to talk about is the public library. The Frisco Public Library, you probably aren't aware that they have more circulation of digital assets than they do physical books, right? In fact, I don't know how true this is. I've heard yes and no, but I've heard that the distribution or the circulation of the Frisco Public Library, when you count their digital assets, is greater than the Dallas Public Library system.
Wow.
Ooh, that's not good. That's your camera.
Oh, okay.
But even
It
if,
was saved by the.
Nothing to see here.
but even if it's not more than Dallas, it's still impressive that it would be in that same category. So there are a lot of digital assets that you can take advantage of at the library, and all you need is a library card. And Frisco has reciprocal relationships with neighboring cities, and not all of them, but you can go and see which ones. So if you live in, say, Plano, and we have a reciprocal relationship with Frisco, or they have a reciprocal relationship with Frisco, you can still use the Frisco Library if you're a Plano resident because of that. And even if you can't, Plano probably has the same assets. So one of them I want to talk about is Gale Legal Forms. So this is thousands of legal forms for your daily tasks, real estate, general forms, legal subjects and issues. They have sample letters, tax forms, legal Q&A, incorporation documents, employment documents, legal definitions. It's a good place just to go and browse around and see if there's anything that could be beneficial to you as a creative. Another one that I like is the Gale online courses. So they have a lot of courses that are 6 weeks long or so, and they cover a lot of different topics, including accounting and finance, business, language and arts, law, legal, design, composition, and personal development. There are other resources we'll talk about here that have similar assets, but still, this one has something that might be a little different. And this is all free for you at the library. I've taken a number of these courses myself. One of them that I did, it wasn't Gale at the time, but it was another provider, was nonprofit management. And that's been extremely beneficial for me for the last 5 or 6 years as I've participated in nonprofit organizations to have, even if it's a free understanding, it's still a base that is very, very beneficial. And they have access to LinkedIn Learning, which is usually about $28 a month. So if you want to learn through LinkedIn, which used to be lynda.com. So the reputation of Lynda is now LinkedIn Learning. And they have more creative classes than some of the others we've mentioned so far. I've not used LinkedIn Learning. I've used some Lynda stuff before. But that's free for you to use as a Frisco resident. And probably the same in other cities around us as well. The Small Business Reference Center, how-to instructions for small business, buying and selling business, managing employees, creating business plan, and legal aspects. Again, just another resource for documents. I was checking it out when I was making this presentation. It has a really good outline for a business plan, or how to outline your business. That's a good place to start. Reference Solutions is one of my favorites. It's very simple. It used to be called Reference USA, and it has records for 36 million US businesses and 260 million residents. And you can sort that by location, business value, home value, and income. So if you're looking for clients to sell to with your art, you might go and say, hey, who in Frisco makes $1 million plus a year and lives in a 500 or 750,000, $1 million home? And you can get a list of all those people with their phone numbers. So it's endless how you want to sort that to look for specific people. It's a great place to look for high value or high income clients or high wealth potential clients. So I really like that one. I've used it for numerous things over the years. Yeah.
What's an SIC code?
It's I don't know what it stands for, but it's just a code that some organization came up with that is specific to an individual business. So if you have a hairstyling business, it has a particular business code associated with it. And those are put into categories. So there may be an SIC code for hairstyling businesses. There may be one that is for below that is for men. So you can dig down and know, if you know that SIC code, and if you're searching for art galleries that have an SIC code, you can search by that code and list all the art galleries. So if you dig in there, there's a lot of data to help you find whatever you're looking for. But I like it specifically to find high-income people in Frisco. I use it a lot for elections because you want to see where the influential people live.
Brad, how do we access this? Did I miss you talking about that? Like, is there a website that you go in there to, or is it all through the library?
Yeah, if you go to friscolibrary.com/resource,
Okay.
there will be an alphabetical resource. It used to be easy to find this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Now I find it difficult.
Okay.
The Frisco Library has always kind of been on the cutting edge of ease of use.
Right.
But for some reason now, none of this is listed off of any main menus. You have to go to the alphabetical list and sort through. That's why I have the names of them.
Okay.
But if you go to that /reference link, it'll take you. And if you try to find that link, it's more difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Just type it in.
Okay.
And then, of course, there's the makerspace at the library. I've never used the makerspace. I have a friend who his son wanted to make some fidget spinners and sell them at school. So they found a design online and printed fidget spinners, and he sold them at school. Made some money off of it by using the library. What I don't have listed on there. Well, we do have 3D printing, the CNC mill for cutting things out of wood, plastic, or whatever. Maker kits for checkout, the wire bending machine, and the laser cutter. What I don't have listed here is the Trailblazer press.
Mm-hmm.
And that you can print publisher quality books at the library for a very reasonable fee. In fact, Zara and I created her book that you guys saw with all of her art a couple of years ago. We put that together in Adobe InDesign and then printed it at the library.
What did it cost? Wow.
Is that $15 a book? Yeah, and then she was selling for like 50. So and there's no minimum. You can go print something and check it out, see if it looks like before you send it off to a printer to have it printed. So the Trailblazer press is one of my favorite, and we're only one of like 3 or 4 libraries in the state that have it.
Trailblazer press.
Yeah, and you can watch it when it's printing. It's really cool how it prints everything and it binds it. It's a really cool process.
What was the quality of your artwork? It was awesome. Did it have like nice glossy base? Yeah.
They were semi-gloss, kind of, yeah, they weren't flat.
Did you pick the quality of the paper you're printing?
Not really.
Not really. Okay.
Yeah, there's just one
But
quality.
they're nice and.
But it's like it's not flat.
Gosh, that'd be great for an art portfolio.
It
depending on
would.
the size that you need.
It would. I should have asked you to bring one of your books tonight.
Easy for sure. Next time.
Yes, next time.
Can you do brochures?
Not there. It's just books.
Books?
Yeah.
Is there like a cover?
Yeah. So it actually has a separate printer for the cover.
You're kidding.
So it prints the cover on a heavier stock, and it's a matte semi-gloss stock,
And it binds it?
and it wraps that around the internal pages, and you can print front and back. And
Is it like a spiral binder or?
no, it's glue. It's a glue binding.
Oh my gosh.
It's a paperback book. but you can make it up to 8.5 by 11.
Okay.
Anything up to that size, it'll print. And if it's smaller than that, it trims all the pages to the right size. So that's really a cool asset.
Do you need any training to use it?
You do. There are some guides, and they have guides for using Word or a couple of other things, InDesigns, things like that. If anybody wants to do it, reach out to me and I can tell you what I did. In fact, when we printed that, that was the largest color product they'd ever done. So
Can you do it in Illustrator instead of InDesign?
you can do it in anything. I used InDesign because it's an
I
Adobe
meant
product.
More like the training to use the machine itself, not.
You don't use the machine.
Oh, you just.
You give them the file and they print it for you.
Wow, so you don't need any training for.
Right, not for the printing,
Okay,
and
okay.
they're very helpful because, they don't call and say, hey, you have this in the wrong format. They say, this is not working right. And they work with you in a very collaborative way to make the product. So I really enjoyed the process, and I got to make some good friends doing that. But yeah, if you want to print a book or a portfolio or something, I highly recommend checking out the Trailblazer Press at the library.
You can just put a PDF together basically, and would they be able to print it off of a PDF?
Yeah, you have to kind of think ahead about what's front and back, and
Right, yeah.
and the dimensions of it have to be a specific size. The cover is a little tricky sometimes because it has to be a certain size, which is larger than the other pages because it has a wrap around.
We need a field trip to the library.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, that would be great. The VHF to have a special or
That
a
would be
meeting,
great.
and maybe we could even get a couple of the guy that does the printing from the library to come do a presentation.
Okay.
That'd be good.
I wouldn't mind that.
We have to have
I
a
think-
field trip during the day when
Yeah.
they're.
Well, he could come at night.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe we go there too. Yeah.
See somebody who decides they want to print a book.
That would be cool to watch it being printed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have some video and photos of Zara's being printed. It's kind of cool.
Cool.
So those are the resources
Sorry.
at the public library. So next we'll talk about Swad's favorite topic, the Frisco
Heck
Chamber of
yeah.
Commerce.
Do you want me to sell for you on that?
So I'll talk about a couple of things, but I do want you to chime in on some things.
Okay.
So actually, I will let you. Yeah, why don't you just start? Tell us what the Chamber of Commerce does.
Well, I'll start reading the mission of the Frisco Chamber of Commerce, which is to protect and promote commerce through advocacy, resources, and connections. So I'll come up here. The reason why Brad is calling out on me is because I currently serve on the board of directors for the chamber. Have for the last 2 years. This is my third year. So I just got reelected for the second term. Yay! Or reappointed. Sorry, reappointed. So the chamber is a collection of about 1,100 businesses that operate in and around Frisco. As that collection, they actually operate a database of all those businesses. So if you ever needed something printed, like let's say a business card or a brochure, you can go to the chamber website, even if you're not a member, go to the business directory, put a search keyword printer, and all the print.
FRISCO,
That's right, Frisco Printing. They print all of my stuff, but they're not the only ones. They have others. So any business that you can think of, kind of like Brad was saying earlier. I don't know if they're related to that SIC code or not, but you can find any business. The other thing is they have networking meetings that cover a very wide variety of businesses and demographics. So every Thursday morning, Zara and I and about 120 of our closest friends, we meet over at Strikes on Preston and Lebanon. And that's like your typical business networking where everybody gets up, does a 30-second commercial for their business. And Zara often brings some of her artwork. Visual Arts Guild of Frisco is a member of the chamber. So that means that any representative of the Visual Arts Guild can take my spot there, because I'm there every week, and say a few words about the Visual Arts Guild. This last time we had Kevin, because Kevin actually works for the chamber. He's their new member new membership director, and he's on our board as a development director. So he said a few words about our reception last Sunday. Anybody on the board can come in. If you're just a local artist, you know, trying to connect with your local community, you're welcome to do that. The other thing is, Chamber has a specific smaller networking groups depending on demographics. Thank you. So Women Enhancing Business, or WEB, is any women in business. So if you're a woman artist, let's say, you know, Trish Poupard Incorporated, you can, as a member of the chamber, you can attend those meetings that are, they often have like guest speakers and, so they have guest speakers, they have prizes, they have lunches, they have wine. Sometimes they meet in the for lunch, sometimes for the evening, like a happy hour type of thing. So they have a variety of those. For those of us who are young enough to be in Frisco Young Professionals,
Which is neither slide nor right.
yes, I think they extended that from 18 to 45 recently. So if you're in that window, they have some really cool hard hat tours. So like if there's a PGA headquarters opening up there, they'll invite Frisco Young Professionals to kind of walk around, you know, post everything on social media and all that good stuff. There's others as well. You can become an ambassador for the chamber. Zara and I are also ambassadors. We basically go to all the ribbon cuttings, take pictures, shake hands, kiss babies, all that good stuff. There's opportunities for internship and mentoring. There are actually SCORE professionals who can tell you how to develop your...
Don't get ahead of me.
Okay, all right, never mind then. Veterans Council, for those of you who are veterans. Leadership Frisco is near dear to my heart. It's a all-year program. It's actually, it takes 9 or 10 months. You go, thank you. It develops a pool of qualified, highly motivated individuals who are interested in expanding their leadership skills, deepening their sense of civic responsibility, and become more involved in their community. I am the proud graduate of Leadership Frisco Class 22, best dressed class ever. My wife Jennifer is currently... That wasn't a joke, man. No. My wife Jennifer over here is currently going through Leadership Frisco Class 25. They're about to graduate in a few weeks. So I mentioned 9 months. You have a ropes course at the beginning. You kind of get 25 of your best friends, you know, that you work on a project together. Each month you give them a day. It's usually a first Friday of the month. You know, you have social services day where you learn all about the local nonprofits. You have economic development day, where I got the opportunity to listen to Jim Gandy and Bob Warren talk about the good old days of Frisco. Like, that's pretty cool. You have city government day where you meet with city council or representatives, and it is a really, really cool program. Yes, it is a bit pricey. If you're a member of the chamber, you get a discount on that, and then even if you're you can apply for additional scholarships. So I will tell you that I applied for one of those scholarships, and I said, hey, I'm just a photographer here taking pictures for a living, and they gave me a couple $100 off of that tuition, so that was pretty cool. Oh, well, yes, but you were class what? 18. Okay, so he was a few years.
That was with the scholarship.
Oh, okay, yeah. So he was a few years before me. Applications are going to be available in May, so you go to the chamber website. You don't have to be a chamber member to apply. It's recommended that you have a good resume of community service or volunteering or something like that. Yes, Kalika.
So once you've gone through all that, and completed the course, what are the expectations of the city?
So you kind of, they like to say that you don't graduate from leadership, you graduate into leadership. So depending on what your motivation is for even taking part in the program, you can become a board member at a nonprofit, or maybe you can run for office. Maybe you can serve in a different capacity You want to go through this course to kind of see how the city works, how all of the gears kind of interlock together. You know, City of Frisco prides itself on partnerships, both private and public, but also within, you know, different municipal entities. Like City Council works really close with the Frisco ISD Board of Trustees and so on. So you kind of understand how everything works together, and in a lot of cases you kind of identify where you can get plugged in to help. And
That's
so
the big thing.
yeah, and so shortly after finishing this, I actually came on board with Visual Arts Guild of Frisco, because I was like, I'm a photographer. This is what my passion is. This is where I want to serve, and so shortly after that, I joined the board. But your mileage may vary, and your motivation may be different.
Right, did you join Public Art after?
Yes, I just joined Public Art Board this year, so this is my first year. So that's another thing. You kind of identify all of these opportunities that you might have to serve the community. Yes, this is a city board. Yeah, Public Art Board is a board, advisory board for the city that does specifically public art. So for example, when you all submit for Art in the Atrium, I actually score.
him.
I actually score your art. I don't score my own, because there's 6 other members of the Public Art Board, and we put all the scores together. So I leave mine unscored, and they take care of it. What else?
That's all I have for the chamber.
Okay, thank you very much.
Um, so, thank you all. Good night. Now, one thing that's what I didn't say that is really important about Leadership Frisco is they say it the first day is you get out of Leadership Frisco what you put into it. So if you go in with the attitude, I'm gonna make the best of this, you'll be very successful. If you go in thinking, you know, this is kind of cool, we'll see what this is about, then that's kind of what you're gonna get out of it. So both Swad and I and Jennifer and others have really taken the experience we had in Leadership Frisco and turned it into something. So when he lists all the things I'm involved in, it's not because I'm really try to go get involved, it's because I've been involved with Leadership Frisco and people know that and ask me to help. So that's the great thing about the chamber and Leadership Frisco is once you are a part of that, it's easier because people ask for you to be involved. So that's the whole point of the chamber to me. Anything else you want to add about the chamber?
I'd like to add that the one thing that doesn't say there is connections. So it does on the first screen, but for Leadership Frisco, the people that you,
What is bond with other leaders?
okay, the people that
And I
you
put bond specifically because it is a
meet,
bond.
that you have the opportunity in front of because you're in Leadership Frisco is amazing. They'll set aside 30 minutes, half a day, an hour, you go to their office, you can take a tour. It's absolutely amazing to say you're in leadership class or call someone who's in a previous leadership class. If you go to the chamber website, you can click on leadership, and you can see every class and everybody who is in any class.
And what projects they
And what projects they did, and a link to their information. It is amazing. We're
So-
class 25. There have been 25 years of leadership.
Yeah, this is the
Frisco.
25th anniversary.
Right now, aren't y'all raising funds for Safety Town?
We are, but I don't know that it's been.
They just posted it today.
Yay! I heard that might happen this week. Yes, we're trying to redo some projects for Frisco Safety Town, yes.
So part of the curriculum for the course is like a group project?
Class project.
A
Yeah.
class project. So my class project was the Frisco 5-Star Challenge. And what we did is at the time when I was in the class, the Frisco Chamber of Commerce was a 4-star accredited Chamber of Commerce. And the reason they weren't 5 stars is they didn't have enough revenue outside of membership. And that kept them from getting the 5 stars. So we came up with the idea of creating an adult field day where different businesses sign up, they pay a fee, and they get to come and compete against each other in a day-long process of 3-legged races and football throws and all tug of, kid stuff. And the winner gets a big trophy at the end, but that revenue goes toward the income to support the chamber.
And a portion of it is also donated.
And a portion is also donated to charity. So we are credited with, when you talk to Frisco Fast Packs, they will say Leadership Frisco is the reason not the reason they exist, but the reason they progressed quickly because they were the first recipient of the grant from that program.
And then a year or two later, their project was to buy them a truck, right?
I don't remember.
Yep.
Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
class 20 or
2 years
something.
ago.
Yeah.
But you have, when you do Leadership Frisco, you have the ability to impact the community significantly. Now, I enjoy Leadership Frisco. It wasn't my favorite thing I've ever done, but having done it, I'm glad I did. So I did Boy State back in high school. Anybody done Boy State or Girl State? And I asked a friend of mine. I said, so what is? I said, so what's the big thing about Boy State? He said, it's something to have done. So I'm glad I did Leadership Frisco, and it's been very beneficial. And so I recommend anybody that's interested in learning more about leadership in Frisco to check out Leadership Frisco.
Is it something you can do if you're working full-time?
Yes, it's 1 day a month, a Friday.
Yeah.
So
It's all day, but it's just
all
one
day,
day a month.
but it's only 1 day a month. So if your employer,
So my employer sponsored me in, and they knew that one Friday a month, full day, I would be out of the office, 1 day a month.
yeah. So
And it's scheduled in advance, so you know exactly.
you know
which
every day
days
at the
they are.
beginning. You know every day at the beginning of the class, even
But
before
then
you
you're
start.
spending additional time, like for, like the ropes course and the class project.
The
working
ropes
on
course
that
is
and
a month before,
And it's on a Saturday.
it's on a Saturday. The class project is typically after hours, we've been doing our Zoom during lunch.
So yeah, it's one of the best things I've ever done. And I know, there's a camaraderie between the three of us that doesn't exist
Mhm.
outside of that. That's why I say you bond with other leaders. It's not just your acquaintance. You create a bond that, like fraternity in a way. So now we'll talk about SCORE.
Ah, yes,
Yes.
okay.
So SCORE they just call it SCORE now. I don't know that they would talk about the original where it came from, but the original meaning was Service Corps of Retired Executives. And these are people who have worked their entire lives as executives and entrepreneurs and have been successful, that at the end of their career, they want to give back and help the next generation become successful. It's a national program. There are chapters all over the country. And we are just lucky enough to have a chapter that meets, or that not meets, but a chapter that is available here in Frisco. And you can meet at the chamber. So the way this works is, I'm gonna do this one first. The way this works is, you identify the need, a gap that's in your business or your business. And then you go to SCORE and you request a mentor. And then one will be assigned to you, and then you work with that mentor to schedule an appointment. And then you meet with him, you set the goals, and then you keep meeting with them on a weekly or monthly or whatever schedule you guys set up. They work with you one-on-one, free of charge, to help you grow your business. I did that when I first got started, and while I don't have a big business to show for it, the skills I learned there translate to so many things in life. And again, that's why I wanted to do this presentation. I want to tell you about the things that are one-on-one or people to people, not just go read something on the web, but these are people that actually invest their time in you at no charge or low cost. So some of the things they offer, they have live, in addition to the in-person meeting, they have live webinars, a webinar library so you can go look at stuff that happened before, courses on demand, and some local workshops. But the thing I got most out of it was that one-to-one connection with a person who got to know me and my needs and showed an interest. Like Leadership Frisco, that's one of the most beneficial things for me in my career. Like I said, they will meet you at the Chamber of Commerce. There's not a chapter at the Chamber.
So did you do it for like a year or 6
I don't remember how long I did it. Actually, I started, and we'll get into this in a upcoming slide, but I started with meeting with a person at the Chamber, and then I switched to meeting with a person at a different chapter. And I think I probably did a total of about a year, on and off. I mean, it wasn't every week. Sometimes it was once a month. Sometimes it was 2 times a quarter. I don't know. But whenever you need help, you can set up those meetings with them.
So if I can make a recommendation, the whole point of BAGF is to advocate and educate artists who want their art as a business, or the business of art, that in general. So if you go to the library and you find a business plan and you start playing with it and you need somebody to help you, this is your experienced coach to help you get through your business plan. And I am in banking and finance. I need a business plan to get a loan. So there are 2 free resources to get it all the way to almost to the end until you take it to the bank and say, I need an SBA loan, Small Business Administration loan. I need a line of credit. I want it under my business, not under me personally. There's 2 resources that are free to coach you through that, to help you through that, to make sure you can go to the bank and if you need a loan or a bank account or how to create the business of you, the artist, these are 2 fantastic resources that in 25 years of banking, I've always referred clients to the library and to the Chamber of Commerce for support.
Yeah, and,
So how do you find SCORE and how do you find?
You go to your local Chamber of Commerce.
Score.org.
Yeah.
You go to score.org, you type in your zip code, and it'll show you all the chapters around.
Almost every Chamber of Commerce has.
Yeah.
So, I don't live in Frisco, but can I go?
Louisville.
Oh, no, this is nationwide.
Yeah, the Louisville Chamber. Chamber.
Where do you live?
Louisville.
Okay.
Louisville Chamber. Move to Frisco, Jenny.
There you go, that's.
We know
that's-
some realtors.
Yeah.
Help me move to Frisco.
Jenny Dowdy.
Yeah.
But
But
again,
you can be a member of the Frisco Chamber even if you're not
Yeah,
living
yeah,
in
yeah.
Frisco, right? If most of your business is in Frisco or around Frisco, you could still.
and this
join
is,
and get a
and not
benefit.
taking anything away from the chamber, but this is not a chamber program.
Right,
Oh,
It's
I see.
sponsored by the Chamber though.
Well, the
Most-
chamber gives them a location to meet
right.
in Frisco.
Oh, I see, okay.
So yeah, you don't have to be a member of the chamber, you don't have to be associated with the chamber in any way, although I recommend it.
Score.org.
But yeah, score.org.
Score.org.
And the thing I like about it is that you meet the same person every time.
Mhm.
It's your mentor. They get to know you and they ask you hard questions because they've done it before. This isn't some guy on YouTube who like read a bunch of books and is, these are people who have grown multi-million-dollar businesses.
They have been vetted.
And so now I want to talk about the SBDC, the Small Business Development Center. Another thing I got involved in early on, they have an office which is located at the Courtyard Center in Plano, which is the Collin College Courtyard Center, which is their continuing ed, which you teach some continuing ed classes there, don't you? They have an office there, and I found when I first got involved that they were the nicest people ever. They have an office, they have a conference room, you walk in, I just felt at home when I walked into the SBDC. This is also another meeting location for SCORE, which is the place that I switched to and started meeting my mentor at the SBDC in Plano. There are multiple small business development centers across the country. So there's one that is in Plano that serves Collin and part of Tarrant County. And then there's also the Dallas Metropolitan SBDC, which services a similar but greater area. So you can check out any one of those. Some of the things they offer are tax guidance, how to start a small business, funding a small business, and these are things you can do. These are in-person classes. Again, this is you going and talking to a real person and learning from a person in that field how to do this thing. I took a lot of their classes in business startup classes when I got involved. One thing that I thought was one of my favorite classes was the employees versus independent contractors. Because you as an artist are often an independent contractor. And you need to know what that means for your taxes. And you need to know what that means for what you're responsible for as an independent contractor versus an employee. And again, one-on-one, you go to the class, you get to talk to the person, usually a lawyer or an accountant, and learn from a real expert. And they have other resources as well, but this is another in-person thing that is right here 20 minutes away that is free of charge to you. And again, they have some templates you can download for business plan, marketing plan, financial worksheets. These are gonna be a little bit better, I think, than what you get through the library or through some like Linda and things like that, which are kind of high level. I think the SBDC has better stuff. Here's one that I think you guys will find really interesting that who knows what Tala is? Who's ever heard of Tala? And if we had 50 people here, you'd probably be the only one that still raise your
The
hand.
banker knows.
Yeah,
I heard of it.
that's why.
Because I was a closing designer and heard about this.
So this is the Texas Accountants and Lawyers for the Arts. It's not a non-profit organization, but it is an organization that is designed to help people of lower income, which a lot of artists are, to get accounting and legal help. It's a membership-based plan. You pay $75 a year, and you have access to the resources that they offer. So here's kind of the income levels. They set their income level at 300% above the poverty line. So if you're an individual and you're making less than $41,000, you qualify for the membership of $75 a year. If you don't qualify, they do offer a lot of free webinars that you can attend. They just did one on copyright essentials for musicians, but they also offer things like art of taxes, taking your idea to market, record keeping and tips for self-employed creatives, among others. And then if you're not a member, there's also once a quarter they offer what's called the Arts Legal Line. You can call in and get your questions answered for a couple of hours. It's not much, but still, it's a resource that's available for you. But this is a great place to go if you need, serious legal or financial help that you can't solve locally. But they're located actually in Austin, but they serve the whole state. This is one of my favorites, 1 Million Cups. So now we're kind of transitioning from the resources to kind of help get your business started to the resources to help you launch your business. 1 Million Cups is a project of the Kauffman Foundation out of St. Louis, not St. Louis, but Kansas City. And there are several hundred clubs around the country now. We started one in Frisco in 2017. I was one of the co-founders of that. And what 1 Million Cups does is it offers entrepreneurial resources to startups. So we're kind of relaunching now post-COVID, but ideally when we, back in our heyday, we were meeting once a week, and we invite two local startups to come and present their idea to a group of their peers. You probably came to some, didn't you?
I've tried to. I came to one or two.
So the startups get 6 minutes to present to pitch their idea and 20 minutes of Q&A from their peers. So if anybody's familiar with Toastmasters, I call it Toastmasters for entrepreneurs. Because it's really a safe space for you to pitch your idea and get feedback and not be torn up.